So as far as report system of female is concerned, so any female, when it shows first heat, generally it will be 9 to 15 months old. Means it may, some of the breeds may show at early, some breeds may show little late. Okay. And that ranges may vary from breed, depending upon nutrition, depending upon the size of the breed, whether it is a small breed, medium breed, large breed. Okay. But by and large, it is the first heat will be shown between 9 to 15 months. Okay, this is a general statement. It is said that small breeds, they show estrus early and vice versa. Means larger the breeds, later the time. Okay. So these dogs, they show breeding season either during autumn or spring season. That's twice a year. Generally, you might have observed very uniquely, you might find dogs herding together, particularly in the breeding season. Otherwise, you may see the dogs spreaded uniformly. But during the breeding season, so there will be a flock of dogs, okay, either behind the male or group of male together or group of females together. So that itself will indicate that there's a breeding season. Okay. So since there are two breeding seasons, naturally, it is expected that they may litter 2 times per year. Okay. And each time, the litter size may vary from 5 to 8. So during lifespan, so they may give birth to around 10 times. And these are all statements, generalized statements. They may vary from situation to situation. And this may not be so perfect in the street dogs because all the female may not get the opportunity to breed in every breeding season. Some dogs may breed annually, sometimes once in 2 years, because they will not get opportunity. But when it is a pedigreed breeds or the dogs which have been kept by the owners for a specific breeding purpose, so naturally you can expect all these normal statistics. Okay. So this is altogether about the female. So when it comes to estrus cycle, it is divided to 4 types: pro-estrus, that is before estrus; estrus, actual estrus; di-estrus, that is a post-estrus; and estrus means absence of estrus. So these words are very clear, and these statements are words good for each and every species. Okay, but in case of dog, the period of each estrus period in a cycle is very, very important. Okay, so when you say pro-estrus, that is before the onset of the actual estrus, that we call it as a pro-estrus, that may range 9 days, and estrus period 9 days. Di-estrus period, if it becomes a successful mating, then the di-estrus converted into pregnancy. If does not, right, it may carry forward just like that. Then later it will turn to be anestrus period, and anestrus period will last for 6 months or even sometimes more than that also. Okay, so that's why we say that yearly twice you can go for the breeding purpose. It is easy to remember, but the days may vary. Okay, otherwise pro-estrus, estrus 9 days. Here di-estrus 60 days, there is 6 months. 6 months. Okay, it's easy to remember. Let us take one by one. Pro-estrus. It is the beginning of the active phase of the estrus cycle. Means a dog, okay, from the anestrus to estrus is the pro-estrus. Okay, so that's why it is the onset of the active phase of estrus cycle. For a quite long time, that 6 months period, dog will be just like normal dog, whether it's a male or female. They may not fight each other, they may not fight for the hierarchy, they may not fight for the alpha position. Okay, so they will be just like any other, they mingle together as a normal social. The moment the estrus, onset of estrus cycle starts, then there will be a fight for the female among the males. Okay, so this active phase is called as the pro-estrus, and it is characterized by bloody discharge from the vagina, and the vulva will become turgid. The bloody discharge itself is an indication of onset of pro-estrus. That is not the actual estrus, it is a pro-estrus. Bloody discharge means it is a pro-estrus, means it is about to come, but it is not in the estrus. Okay, and the duration, as I told you, it's 9 days, but may range from 2 to 16 days, depending upon the nutrition status, depending upon the external environment, depending upon the where you are keeping. Okay, so in the ideal condition, if there is a competition for the female, that Proestrus may last for the longer period. If there are no male to follow the female during the proestrus, that period may get into a smaller period, or it may get squeezed because there is no instigation for the proestrus. The absence of male itself is a shortening of the proestrus period. Okay. So during this period, female attracts male but will not accept the for the copulation. Got it? So it's a typical active phase of estrus cycle, but here it will show all the courtship behavior. Due to presence of bloody discharge will attract the other males to come near to the female, and due to which all the males will come together and they fight for the male. Okay, everything will be in the active phase, but at any cost they will not accept to mount. Okay. So during this period, concentration of hormone estradiol secreted by the ovaries increases in the blood during the process. That's why there is a bleeding. Okay. So due to high amount of estrogen, which will encourage the ovulation, it is not yet ovulated, it's encouraging the ovulation, and that will lead to a estrous bleeding. Okay. So this is altogether proestrus. Now estrus is the actual acceptance of the male. This is the stage where it accepts the male. This period normally lasts from 1 week and it can go up to 15 days. During this time, discharge from the vagina becomes more watery. Earlier it is bloody, here it becomes more watery, and the turgid vulva which we could see in the proestrus will become more of softening in nature. So there it will be hard, okay, but here it becomes more of softening nature. So during this period, concentration of estrogen decreases and increases another hormone, that is progesterone, because there is a preparation for the pregnancy. So there is a decrement of estradiol, there is an increment of progesterone. So this is the time of behavioral estrus when female allows the male to mate by lifting her tail. This is a typical behavior expressed by the female due to the presence of progesterone and estrogen. Okay. So during this time, whenever male makes an attempt to mount, so female will encourage by lifting her tail or facilitating for the copulation, which does not happen during the proestrus. Okay. So this is the time when LH is secreted by the pituitary, increases in the blood, causing the ovulation. Okay. So this is luteinizing hormone helps in the ovulation. So there is a increment in the hormone. Okay. These ova are not fully mature and are viable for the 7 days because this period lasts for 9 days. Okay. So probably two primary oocytes will get mature and secondary oocytes subsequently they mature after considerable period. Okay. So that's why these ovas will be available for the conception during the 6 to 7 days. Okay. So it is said that when male mates on the 2nd day or 3rd day, generally it's recommended on 4th day, but whenever it mates on 4th day by one male, and if it mates another male, the female mated by another male, on the 7th day, both the males have the equal pair or equal chance of to give birth to the young ones for the different males. Okay, because there is a continuous ovulation in the ovary. So, what are the symptoms of estrus? Okay, so in proestrus, there is a clear indication that is the appearance of blood itself is sufficient. During the estrus, the acceptance of male itself is an apparent symptom, but when there is absence of male, okay, you can see the swelling of vulval lips. Bleeding from the vulva, which was happening earlier, will gradually become to yellowish and followed by colorless. Means it becomes more of watery and mucoid, okay, which was earlier blood discharge, or you can say different color. There will be frequent urination with mucoid discharge, a few drops in the last period, and female at this time becomes restless in search of dog, and therefore they may go off feed occasionally. Even if there are no males in and around area, they keep on looking for the males. Okay, so that's why they become very much restless during the estrus period. So diestrus. So this is period where it lasts for 60 days. If it successfully copulates, then it converts into pregnancy, right? And this particular period is also called as metaestrus. Okay, it's represented by luteal or regressive phase of the cycle. Okay. So at this time, the female will not accept the male for the mating or the copulation, and the duration of this phase is 60 days. So there is the enlargement of mammary gland both in the pregnant and non-pregnant female. So this is very unique point, okay? Whether it's successfully conceived or not, whether there is a copulation or not, okay? So after the completion of the estrus and entering into the diestrus, okay, will lead to the development of mammary system, okay? Whether it's a successful pregnancy or not, but there will be a typical enlargement of mammary gland. Thus, the pregnancy diagnosis based on the mammary gland is generally difficult. So nowadays, by and large, whenever you have pedigree dog and you have planned for the breeding, so you will not wait for any simply like enlargement of mammary system or enlargement of abnormal, whether it is considered a physical observation. Generally they go for ultrasound because nowadays that ultrasonography is become affordable. Okay, everyone goes for the sonography. Okay, so that itself will give the clear picture that whether that animal is pregnant or not. Okay, so near the end of diestrus, concentration of progesterone declines with the increase in the secretion of another hormone, prolactin, by the anterior. Means this period lasts for 60 days. So the moment it near, or you can say end of this diestrus, so if that is a successful pregnancy, then that next stage is preparation for the young one. So that's why there is a release of prolactin by the anterior pituitary gland for the next cycle. Okay. So if there is the absence of pregnancy, means that hormone increment will be there, but drastically comes. If there is no young one, so that hormone comes down, but end phase of the diestrus, always there is the increment in the prolactin. So that's why that shows the little bit of enlargement of the mammary system. So this hormone is responsible for the lactation both in the pregnant as well as the non-pregnant bitches. Okay. Anestrus, as I told you, word itself says that absence of estrus. Okay, this is a quiet phase which represented by the period extending from the end of diestrus to the beginning of the next proestrus. Okay, and the duration may vary from 2 to 3 months, extending up to 10 months in an individual female. That's why when I gave that first chart, it was 9 days proestrus, 9 days estrus, 60 days metaestrus, or you can say diestrus, and followed by anestrus 6 months. So it is in the ideal condition. Suppose that female, if it does not get an opportunity and if there is a poor nutrition, that period may go behind 6 months. Similarly, if you are a breeder and if you are plant-based, then that anestrus period also will squeeze to 3 months instead of 6 months. Okay. So what I showed the chart is in the ideal condition. Okay. So what about male? If you take the male, so these male will become a pubertal stage between 9 to 18 months. And these males are promiscuous breeder and receptive to an estrus bitch at any time of the year. So they don't exhibit any seasonality and they don't exhibit any preference for the female. Okay. So if any animal unusually, if it shows estrus, these males are able to mate. Okay. And similarly, if there are 2-3 females are in the estrus in the same period, and the same male can mate all the 3 females. Okay, they are not so specific. However, okay, in some exception condition, they may show some preference for a particular bitches. Okay, and sometimes they reject individual females. These are all natural situations. If they are happen to get an opportunity, okay. So always they try to choose the best female by the male. Similarly, female also look for the dominant male. Okay, it will not allow any male to mount. Okay, so it will also make a choice which male to be mounted. Okay? So that is in the natural phenomena. But in the artificial breeding, means artificial means suppose if you are independently, you are rearing your own dog in your own house and you are having any pet shop and you are having a separate breeding club, so naturally you can go as per your wish. You need not be this one, okay, optional. Okay, you can be a choosing. So you can make a particular male with a particular female and vice versa. Okay, in the artificial situation. Mating behavior. This what I'm telling is in the typical natural condition. In the artificial condition, many of the behavior it may not express because they will not get an opportunity to show all this behavior. But in the natural condition, if you say pre-mating, that's courtship behavior, begins when the male first picks up the scent of an estrus bitch. Okay. So suppose Male roaming from one street to another street, wherever it urinates and it secrete the mucus discharge, which is a scent, okay, will be identified a male, and that male will become too active, okay. Apparently that odor can travel to a great, that's why even the dogs which are from the other street, other territorial area, they will come and they will fight, okay. So you will see good number of males running behind one particular female till it becomes successive mating, okay. So when in contact with the estrus female, the males will display a lot of individual variation in the behavior, and most follow the estrus female closely. And the free ranging dogs tend to show the most elaborate courtship behavior. Means simply, if gets a female which is in the acceptable stage, it will not immediately attempt to mount. Okay, it will show elaborate courtship behavior by that male. And that too, if there are too many competitors, then that period, successive mating period, further it extends. Further it, because there other male will be there who will be disturbing the male as well as the female. Okay. Since female wants a particular male and it will not stand still for any other males whoever comes in contact with that female, it runs away. Okay, she runs away. So that's why in the natural condition, always males show elaborative mating behavior. Okay. Several males are around female and they are more aggressive towards each other and tend towards the hierarchical formation while she is in. Okay. So there they have to fight for the male. So one which dominates only will get a success. Okay. When the male and female remains close, and that behavior is called running together. And there is a definite preference in male dogs for a estrus female and for the urine and vaginal secretion from the estrus female as compared with the eliminative products from the unestrus female and male. Means even parallelly there may be other females which will be roaming or going along with the same estrus male, and it may also urinate. Okay, whenever it will urinate, certainly it sends some pheromones. But male which is there already, which is already identified the scent from the estrus male, will not show any interest in the other female at all. Even it will not try to attempt also. Okay, so male also makes marking by the urine. Okay, so usually in and around the female's urine spots. Okay, it is said that by doing so, other males which are also trying to follow that particular female, okay, will get an idea that which is that male. 1 point. If it's a dominant, then it will not come close to that male. Second, sometimes that male will try to urinate over the urination area or scent area done by the female, so that other dogs will not come to know. And there will not be much competition. Okay. So this is the situation during the natural condition. The mating phase of the male reproductive behavior begins once the dog has successfully mounted the estrus female. Okay. And the successful of intervention is 50 to 60% of the modes. It's not single or second. You can imagine 50 to 60%. Sometimes they may have to struggle for more than 7 hours, 8 hours, sometimes 24 hours also. Okay. So 50 to 60% of the modes, okay, when they make, that too, if it is a semi-isolated condition, if it is a disturbing area, even that may not get successful also. Okay. So if it is a semi-isolated, then out of 50 to 60% of mode, that male may get a proper intermission. Otherwise, it may not. Okay. That copulatory, one successful intermission, the copulatory tie or lock, which occurs due to the enlargement of bulbous gland, at the same time, constrictor vestibuli muscle of the female contracts. Okay. So these are happening simultaneously. Okay. When there is a continuous thrust by the male, okay. So when there is a continuous, the successful copulation, at the time, so there is a typical enlargement of the bulbous gland in case of male, and suddenly there is a, due to excitation, due to the release of oxytocin, there is a constrictor vestibular muscle which constricts, makes the lock. Okay. While this tie is maintained, and the male dog will dismount to one side and swing a rear limb over the back of the female and stand facing in the opposite direction from the female. Okay. So this means that it has completed the successful mating. Okay. So once there is a lock, then there is a release of sperms. Okay. But it's not mandatory that locking should take place. Okay. Sometimes it may not. There may be enlargement of bulbous gland, but there is no constrictor muscle which constricts. So there will not be successful mating, but male will remain in the reproductive tract, and sometimes there will be a release of the spermas. Okay. Sometimes vice versa. There may not be enlargement of bulbous gland, but there may be constrictor muscle of the female which may contract, but it not to the extent of time. But they will remain in touch or then this copulatory position for a considerable period, so that there will be a release of sperm. Particularly, if you go for the artificial breeding, you may not see this typical locking system sometimes. Okay, so that too when there is an unusual female wherein there is no pre-courtship behavior. Okay, so forcibly we are making female to stand still and male will mount. So in that case, there is a little preparation, so you may not find the successful lock or you can say copulatory type. So but there will be a release of sperms. Okay, and in the natural situation, this tie will last for 10 to 30 minutes or more, during which both the dogs relatively unresponsive to the external activities, and usually they stand quietly. So ejaculation occurs in 3 steps. First, there will be ejaculation of clear fluid. Second, sperm-rich fraction, and third is cloudy white fraction. Okay, but this cloudy white fraction may happen, may not happen. Okay, but first and second, if it happens, then there will be successful copulation. So that is up to mating. Second is, does superfecundation happens only in the dog? Okay, what is that superfecundation? Means if 2 females mates the same female, whether there will be conception of the female for the 2 different silent, whether it happens or not. Of course, it happens in case of pig, it happens in case of dog also. When female dogs are meat, they release many eggs during their 3 to 4 weeks fertile period. Since sperm can remain in the female dog's reproductive tract for up to 7 days, the female dogs do not have to ovulate on the day they mated to become pregnant. Okay. If a female dog has mated with 2 or more male dogs, she can have a puppies from the different father in the same litter. So that's why it's very difficult to tell each and every pup that which is the sireling. Okay, if it is mated by the 2 females. So now that whatever we discussed altogether, so that was for the natural situation. Okay. But in case of artificial means, as I told you, you are keeping the dog and you are going for the breeding. So normally 9 to 12 days following the initiation of the vaginal swelling and bleeding is supposed to be the most suitable time for the breeding the bitch. Means 9 to 12 days from the first bleeding. Means typically 1 or 2 days or up to 4th day of the normal estrus period. Okay. Some bitches have a very short pro-estrus and will allow male to mate soon after the owner's observes swollen vulva or bloody discharge from the vagina. Acceptance to male dogs provide a reliable indicator of estrus. Means that itself is a good indication that it is in the estrus. Once estrus is identified, natural mating or artificial insemination should be carried out. Normally, carrier sperms are capable of inducing optimal conception rates for 4 to 11 days after mating. Okay, so therefore, breeding a bitch every 4th day beginning at the onset of receptive is better breeding plan than the mating on 9th or 11th day. Got it? So as I told you in the beginning, so 12th day from the estrus the bleeding of initiation, or else once it starts accepting the male, from then 4th day is the ideal time to conceive. Okay. So since you have to take either your female to another house, or you may have to take male to another place where female is there. So that's why you have to plan it very properly. Suppose if you have both male and female, it's okay. You can make trial and error. Okay. If you feel that 2nd day is ideally good, you can go for. Otherwise, if there is any doubtful, so you can go for 1 more mating on 1 alternative day. But when you don't have a male and only either you have male or female. Suppose if you have a female, then you have made a commitment with another owner who has a male, then you have to plan it properly. Otherwise, bringing female to male dog, okay, or vice versa is a cumbersome procedure, so you have to plan it properly. Okay. So canine ova are viable for 7 days after ovulation, which is induced in such females only after the coitus. These ova may be fertilized by sperm which have ability to survive in the female reproductive tract for 4 to 11 days after single mating. Means even if you have mated on 4 days, okay, even that estrus period lasts for 11 days, that 4-day mating will end up in the successful conception. Even if you're going for the mating on the 9th day also, it will end up in the successful conception. Okay, only thing is in the fag end you should not do. So tidbits for mating. So this is particularly for the breeders or the private owners. Okay, provide a light feed, clean fresh drinking water and exercise. Why means in the street dive there is a competition, so there is no question of non-mating. But in case of housebred dogs, sometimes they may not express proper estrus behavior at all because they are not exposed to male at all throughout their life. Similarly, female also not, the male also not exposed to females in the childhood, so they may not exhibit tidbits for mating, as I told you in the beginning. So if you are going for the artificial breeding, in that case, many dogs, they may not get exposed to opposite sex, so they may not express sexual behavior in the childhood or in the pubertal period. So that's why they may not show vigorous behavior during the mating period. So that's why you have to make little bit of planning. Okay. So in case of female, blot the vulva with tissue paper during the each period each day and examine for the discharge. If it is a colorless and mucoid, then allow the dog to. Slides are visible, no?
Yes, sir.
Moving also?
Yes, sir.
So in case, because since there are no predominant characters, so you may have to check for the clear-cut discharge by blotting tissue paper on the vulva so that there is a clear discharge or not. So just class के बाद मैं बात करता हूँ सर क्लास में मुझसे थोड़ा बात करने बाद में So male and female meant for the mating must be in perfect health. Okay, and also they are vaccinated for all the important diseases. Allow the dog to serve the bitch twice at an interval of 24 hours. And during this period, withholding food both for the male and female for few hours before mating is always good. It is advisable to avoid first heat and mating to be done during the second heat period. Okay, best stage of first mating is 15 to 18 minutes. These are thumb rules, but generally people follow it. Okay, and it is observed that those who are typically breeder and who get the license for the breeding purpose, they are well versatile with the breeding technique. But those who are owners and keeping the dog for the first time, so all the time they may have very frequent questions. Okay, so sometimes they may see visible bleeding for 1 or 2 days, and after that they may not see. Okay, blood spots. So with that, they will not come to know that what is the onset of actual estrus, wherein it has to show clear-cut discharge. So in that case, they have to observe the female every day, okay, for the clear discharge, if they really want to plan for the breeding. Okay, so and those ducks generally they will be vaccinated for all the important diseases. Okay, but on the day of mating, suppose it is said that you have a male and I have a female, so male will be more comfortable in its own area. So that's why female is taken from one house to the male, not vice versa. Male is not brought to the female place. Rather, female will be taken to the male owner, so that the male will feel the same ambience during the mating. Otherwise, it may not show a proper typical mating behavior. Okay. So in the natural situation, you need not assist, but in case of artificial breeding, many efforts you have to make. Okay. Because for many male, it may be first attempt. For female also, it may be first attempt. Okay. So people will help in keeping the female dog stand still by catch holding the dog. Okay. All along the, by placing the dog all along the wall, so that as and when male mounts, it should not run away, because you want successful mating. Okay. Similarly, when it is comfortable, it has to be made comfortable by giving the light meals. If you give too much of feed, the dog may not feel comfortable. So that's why generally they offer light feed, and also they go for exercise on day-to-day basis, particularly during the breeding season, both for the male and female. Male is more demanding and more volunteered because exercise keep the male perfect. So that's why during the breeding season, they have to keep the dog both active and as well as alert. Okay. So now let us, whether it's a natural or it's artificial, okay, dog has conceived. Sometimes it may be intentional, sometimes it may be unintentional. Suppose if it's intentional, there is no question of stopping the pregnancy, but sometimes it becomes accidental. Okay. Let us assume that you have a dog. Unfortunately, you are tied today your dog outside the house. Okay, maybe in the car parking area or maybe in the lobby. We don't know when another male from the street, it may jump into the house and it may mate and go. You will not come to know because you are not in the house. Okay. So suddenly one day you realize that my dog has conceived. So naturally you don't want to have pups because the silence is unknown. Okay. So in that case, people may go for the termination of pregnancy because they don't want to have a pups. One is they don't know the silence. Second, they are not intentional and they don't want. Okay, but it's happened accidentally. Okay. Similarly, you have taken your female dog for the walk. Okay. Suddenly, somehow it missed, and during that accidental escape, it may get mated by the any dog. Okay. So all these unusual situations, you may end the pregnancy, for which you may go for so many alternative ways and means. Simplest is to avoid complication, spaying. In case of male, castration. These are the simple and most commonly people first turn well in advance, they plan it and they go for spaying or castration. Okay. But even then, some people, they don't want because people think that the health of the dog may not be good if you go for spaying because there will be imbalance in the hormone. Okay. So during that time, people may not go for the spaying. So if it happens, then they will go for the either hormonal treatment or by surgical treatment. Okay. So now in case of successful conception, okay, successful, you can say mating, now there is a pregnancy period. So now during this period also you have to little bit, you have to take extra care. Street dog you need not, because there is a natural instinct that as and when the stage of pregnancy advances, the female dog on its own make its own preparation. You all know it. Okay, they choose the place where there is a dark, where they feel it is very safe. Okay, they make the nest. Okay, because they exhibit strong nesting behavior. Okay. So most commonly they choose for the bushes. They choose the old abandoned house. They may choose the dry gutters. Okay, they may choose the broken walls so that other dogs, other any predators should not come there, and they choose and they go and rest there itself as soon as the advanced stage near. But if it is household dog and you artificially bred, then you may give the similar ambience, which is generally demanded by the dog. Okay, since it exhibits the nesting behavior, then you may have to provide something similar to like that. So you get nowadays artificially these type of nesting boxes, which are dismantleable. As and when you need, you can fix it. Otherwise, people may opt for a separate room in their own house, and they provide some bedding material, old cloths, okay, old broken material, so that dog will make some nesting preparation so that it feels that I have made some preparation for their young ones. Okay. So otherwise, if such environment is not provided, sometimes they may abandon. Abandon means when it is supposed to show that labor pain, it may not show, it may prolong. If it prolongs, then naturally pups may die also. Okay. So that's why you have to make some preparation during the pregnancy. What are those? Let us see it. During this period, okay, food should be light, palatable, but highly nutritious. Clean, fresh drinking water and sufficient. Light exercise in the morning and evening. Comfortable soft bed during the nights and also during delivery. Okay. So people also may provide some jute material, newspaper, anything which you feel that it is easy to provide you. Okay, you can provide it, okay. So every month, generally it is 2 months pregnancy, but generally after 30 days, all the vertebral columns are formed. So that's why they go for the X-ray. How many pups are there, you will come to know. But nowadays, X-rays are also outdated because X-rays are sometimes dangerous also. Everyone is going for the ultrasound or sonography, okay, by which you will come to know the health status of the pups as well as the stage of delivery, okay. So during this period, one is going for the routine checkup. Second is supplementation of vitamin and calcium, which is mandatory for the dog, particularly household dogs, okay. Additionally, you may have to go for the provision of folic acid, which is prerequisite during the pregnancy, because this particular is not synthesized by the dog. And deworming, particularly piperazine, because these roundworms are carried from mother to young ones. So that's why they go for deworming during the pregnancy period, okay. And massage, if required, okay, may be done. Otherwise, it is not so much required. So I mean to say that supplementation like vitamin, calcium, folic acid, deworming, and routine scanning are mandatory during the pregnancy. So now the time has come, expected date has arrived. Okay, now it has created its nesting environment. It is almost dull, sluggish, off feed. Okay, so it will try to lie down continuously. Okay, so as and when that stage comes, there will be swollen lips. Okay, there will be thick mucoid discharge from the vagina, efforts of making own bed. Okay, restlessness with scratching over the ground because of that pain, and that labor pain continuously persists. Okay, and there is a drop in the temperature, which is also one of the clear-cut indication of the delivery. Panting with eager look and looking at herself, means towards the stomach side or the vagina side, it keep on looking at that part because there is a continuous pain. Okay, so these are the typical signs of delivery. So once it starts giving birth to young ones, so generally it starts with the rupture of water bag. Okay, sudden there will be discharge, and then pups start coming out. Okay, and pups are born within 1 to 1.5 hours generally. Okay, once after the onset of this discharge. So if everything is normal, you need not make any intervention. Okay, simply provide a proper place. That's all. But if it's really required, so what happens, sometimes one pup comes and there is a gap in between, or even it is making continuous effort to expel the fetus, but it is not coming out. So there is a struggle. So in that case, external assistance is required. Okay. Sometimes pup has come, but the mucal bag and the whole membrane is still intact with the on the pups, so that you have to remove, break it, and you have to clean with the hand, and you leave towards the memory system so that they will start suckling the milk. Okay. Care after delivery, remove the fetal membranes. Okay, if it's not properly removed, clean the hind portion of the bitch with lukewarm water. Provide whole milk in the diet for 3 to 4 days. Provide clean, fresh drinking water all the time. If bitch is not going out for the natural cause, compel her to do so after each meal. Means, so if they are habituated for going down in the walk for the natural cause, that is called littering. Okay, but now house your dog is well within the house, then you have to provide some similar environment for the littering of the mother. Okay, so now after successful pregnancy, successful delivery, so now after 1 month, these pups are able to survive without mother. So generally it's 30 days. Okay, or 1 month, you can say that, and that is the time to separate pups from the mother. So that is called weaning. So during the weaning, so the procedure is the same as cattle. Okay, same as sheep and goat. Generally, the puppies are separated from the mother, which we call it as a weaning. This is natural process. Okay, puppies will become independent and they start depend on the physical feeds. Okay, and this process generally 3 to 4 weeks or 1 month, you can see. To start weaning, you will remove the mother from the pups, not the vice versa. So it is done gradually. First, you will try to remove for some time, then significant time. Then once you remove it, you will not mix it up. Okay, just to avoid shock, you will not remove once for all, okay? First, you will try to remove for 5 hours, 6 hours. You will allow to suckle one time instead of 2 times or 3 times. Gradually, you restrict to 1 time, then 1 day you will separate it, okay? If puppies do not seems to be interested, once you separate, then you have to make that puppies to be depend on the milk or the physical feed. So there you may have to teach the pup to drink milk as well as to consume the solid feed. So it's very easy, like cattle, what we do. So just allow to dip your finger in the milk and try to allow the pup to suckle, then gradually bring it to the bowl where you have kept the meal. Okay, so gradually it develops the taste and it will start suckling the milk. And side by side, when you try to offer a solid feed, then gradually